People own horses for a variety of reasons, ranging from companionship to competition. However, the reason for horse ownership does not determine whether or not you need a manure management plan. All horses qualify as livestock, and they require management of their manure. In this video, we will focus on the free 15-page manure management plan that horse owners can prepare on their own with a little guidance. In Pennsylvania, there are two types of plans for the management of nutrients carried to our waterways from farms. One is called a nutrient management plan. The other is called a manure management plan. You've probably noticed the similarity of the names, but they are not similar at all in their preparation and size. A nutrient management plan is required if you have over 2,000 pounds of animals on your farm for each acre that is available for spreading manure. These plans have to be prepared by a consultant and will cost thousands of dollars. It is recommended that you contact the Conservation District's ag technician for guidance on how to proceed if you need a nutrient management plan. Most farms in Westmoreland County do not fall within this category. However, almost all of the farms in Westmoreland County will qualify for the manure management plan, which is a fairly simple plan of about 12 pages that you keep on your farm and continue to update as needed. Typically, landowners can prepare their farm's manure management plan themselves at no cost, and your Conservation District's ag technician is always available to help. So let's start preparing your manure management plan. First, don't panic. You will need to download a copy of the Manure Management Plan guidance document and the Manure Management Plan workbook. These documents can be found on the Westmoreland Conservation District's webpage or the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection's website. The Manure Management Plan guidance document is about 75 pages long. It contains comprehensive directions that explain every part of the manure management plan and charts that are used to help you fill out your plan. It also has blank copies of forms that you will use in future years as you update your plan. The Manure Management Plan workbook is a template where you will write and develop your farm's official manure management plan. This template, which is only about 15 pages long, was developed to fit every type of farm in Pennsylvania. There will be some things that don't apply to horse farms, and you will be able to skip those sections. Page 1 and 2 are easy to fill out. It is just farm information, such as address, contact information, and a checklist of completion. One of the first steps in writing your plan is to get an aerial map of your farm that shows the fields, buildings, roads, and water features. You can get these maps by going to googlemaps.com or bingmaps.com. When you find your farm, snip a suitable map of the property that you can use as a reference. Page 7 in the plan is a placeholder for the map. Take a moment to look at your map. Can you spot sources of water, fields, fences, buildings, and other features? Once these features are identified, the fields should be numbered. Now let's take a look at page 3. Here you will need to list animal types. These include horses, cows, pigs, goats, and chickens. For crop rotations, pasture and hay are considered to be the same. Check yes if you have any of the environmentally sensitive areas that they have listed. If you check yes, you will have to explain that on page 4. The rest of page 3 has some terms that you may not be familiar with. We'll go over them here, and you can mark your forms if they apply. Winter application means that you mechanically spread manure on your fields between December 15th and February 28th. If you check yes, you will have to explain that on page 5. Remember, if you spread manure, you must follow Pennsylvania's manure application setback requirements to minimize non-point source pollution. You can find those requirements at Penn State Extension's website, psu.edu, and search for the Pennsylvania Manure Application Setback and Requirements. Manure storage facilities, such as pits, tanks, lagoons, etc., are typically not used by horse farms. If you do use these facilities, you'll have to explain it on page 8. Outside manure piles need to be marked on your map, and you must follow the guidelines in the instructions. Make sure manure piles are placed correctly and covered to prevent rainwater and runoff from washing the nutrients and bacteria into waterways. Avoid placing them in low-lying areas and in swales, where runoff will pick up the pollution and carry it to your local stream. Animal concentrated areas, or ACAs, are where animals congregate. Whether you call your ACA a turnout lot, exercise lot, corral, barnyard, heavy use area, or a sacrifice lot, good management is critical. These areas quickly lose their vegetative cover, leaving bare soil that can erode from the site. ACAs are one of the biggest potential sources of runoff pollution from a farm. Managing manure from an ACA is required under the Pennsylvania's Clean Streams Law and Nutrient Management Act. Contact your Conservation District Ag Technician for guidance. The Manure Management Plan summary on page 6 looks complicated, but a couple minutes spent understanding it will make it clear what is needed to be recorded here. Let's take a look at it. Crop groups and manure groups are what you listed on page 3. The application season is when you apply manure to that crop field. The planned application rate is how much manure you apply to that crop field per year. The maximum allowed rates are shown in Appendix 1 of your Manure Management Plan Guidance document. Other methods of calculations are shown at the bottom of the page. Incorporation timing refers to whether you disc or plow under your manure. None is a typical answer. If you apply any commercial fertilizer, mark it down on this page. List the field numbers from your map that are fertilized. Multiple field numbers can be put in these boxes. The pasture management worksheet on page 9 has 2 boxes. Check only one of them. To qualify, to check the first box, you must have a prescribed grazing management plan that meets the NRCS 528 standards. Very few farms will have this completed. The most common response will be to check the second box. You agree to manage the pasture to minimize bare spots and maintain an average vegetation height across the pasture during the growing season at least 3 inches high. The animal concentration area worksheet on page 9 needs completed if you have any animal concentration areas on the farm. A follow-up of section I on page 3. Elaborate on those areas on page 10. Manure application rate record on page 12 is to be filled in if you mechanically spread manure on fields. If you have your own system of recording manure spreading, keep those records here with the manure management plan. The crop yield record on page 13 is where to record the yearly yields of your fields. Typically, equine operations will not need pages 14 and 15. So at this point, you have finished the plan and just need to do yearly updates. Congratulations, you should now have a completed manure management plan for your horse farm. Join us for the additional parts of this video series. This video was produced by the Westmoreland Conservation District. Financial and other support for this project is provided by the Pennsylvania Association of Conservation Districts, Incorporated, through a grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection under Section 319 of the Clean Water Act, administered by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.